Can you really start backyard farming with just 5,000 naira? Well, I tried it. And today I'll show you exactly how I turned a small space in my compound into a thriving tomato farm. I'm going to be sharing with you my mistakes, the lessons I've learned, and small wins I've gotten, everything in between in this video. Honestly, what pushed me into starting this wasn't the idea of making money. It was health related. Everywhere you turn, you see people, you hear people struggling with one health issue or another, and most of it comes from what we consume, what we eat. So I kept thinking, what if? What if I can grow my own safe and healthy food? And that's how the idea of starting a backyard farm came alive. I had this space in my compound, and at the center, there's this small tree that my dad planted some few years ago. It gives small bell apples, also known as water apples or syzygium if you want to sound scientific. But most of the time, this space was just a headache for me. Weeding, and more weeding almost every week. Then one day I thought to myself, instead of wasting this land to grass, why not make it useful? So I cleared it, and that became the bed of my small backyard farm. I actually started simple, just tomatoes. I got seeds from a local market for just around 2,000 naira. I planted them, and few days later, I saw the first signs of life. The tiny sprouts are pushing out from the soil, and trust me, that's a moment of pure joy. And this is where things got interesting. Now let's talk about my mistakes. My first mistakes had to do with chicken droppings. I bought a sack of chicken droppings and I spread some of it around my tomato stands. I came to realize that that's a big error. What I didn't know is that fresh chicken manure is high in nitrogen. So instead of feeding the plants, it actually burned the roots. And because it was the raining season with 6, sometimes 7 straight days of no sun, the manure stayed wet and my plants really struggled. But I quickly learned, I acted fast, then I removed the manure, then it saved some of them. So what I have learned is use dry chicken manure, not the fresh or wet one. Now, another area I really did not pay attention to early enough is pruning. I didn't know that early enough. I was so excited, I was happy to see my plants starting to flower, but I learned that the secret to high yield is pruning. Now, what is pruning? Pruning has to do with removing extra stems and side shoots and cutting away the lower leaves so that your plant can really focus on the fruits and not the leaves. Now, I actually came across a video on YouTube. I think the title is Grow Tomatoes, Not Leaves. And that lesson really changed everything for me. So I started the pruning and now I'm seeing more flowers, which will in turn translate into high yields. Now, the other time I said something about buying tomato seeds, right? Now, just to test myself, I also created a tomato nursery in a bucket. I started to see them germinate and they sprouted beautifully. I'm soon going to be transplanting them into a bag filled with loamy soil and I'm going to be feeding them with natural boosters like eggshells for calcium, banana peels and more. I'm going to be carrying you along, so join me on the journey. Now let's talk about pest control. I'm trying something organic. So instead of running to use chemicals, I'm working on a garlic solution to spray the plants. I have heard that garlic actually contains something called allicin. It's a natural compound that works like an insect repellent. It helps fight off issues like leaf blight and aphids. And those creatures are very stubborn. But don't worry, I'm going to share you an update about how the solution is going to work, probably in the comment section of this video. Now you might be asking, Steve, how much time does it actually take to start this backyard farming? And honestly, in my own case, not much. Once you just plant, nature takes care of the rest. In the evening, all I do is I take a walk just to check the plants, how they are growing, how they are flowering, the fruiting and stuff like that. Now, here is a tip. If you want to start during the dry season, you definitely need water source, a steady one. It's not like greenhouses where everything is controlled. So watering is key. Now, you may also be thinking, I don't really have a space like yours. Well, if you stay in a rented apartment, like I've said earlier, You can still grow tomatoes or some other plants in buckets or sack. Just place them by the fence or even in a small open corner, maybe in your kitchen of your rented apartment. Just make sure that sunlight reaches that place. Now, you want to punch holes in your bucket or your sacks so that the bottom can really drain excess water and the soil can breathe. Tomatoes usually grow between 60 and 90 days from planting to harvest. Now, it means 2 to 3 months from now, if you start now, you could actually be eating from your own backyard farm. And that's a good feeling. At this point, you may also be wondering, how did I know all of these things? The truth is, I knew very little about farming. Everything I'm practicing today, everything I'm learning today is because I've been watching some videos, I've been trying to get my hands dirty, and it's really paying off. Now, another thought hit me. What if I wanted to grow tomatoes in a bigger space for commercial purposes? And that's where the mind shift happens. From being the consumer to becoming a producer. It will now be about creating value, feeding people, and making money out of it. But before I can get there, before you can get there, if you haven't started, we all have to start small. We have to learn, we have to make mistakes, we have to get the knowledge, then we can scale up. And that's exactly one of the reasons why I've created this channel, to document my own personal journey and to, share with you real business ideas, side hustles to make money, and give you some personal finance tips to manage your money. So if you've ever thought about starting a backyard farm in Nigeria, I tell you, you don't need millions. Literally, I begin with less than 5,000 naira. So let's stop the video here. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and join me for some other insightful videos.